Welcome on back, folks. It is Valorant Challengers. It is NA, and it is the first edition of it. We're here for semifinals, and this game between NRG and NV is starting to heat up a little bit for the boys of NV once again off of that Sky pick. My name is Upmind, joined here by my man Itzo, and that last one, there is a little bit to talk about, but NV seems to be really the overarching point of things.
Well, I mean, heading into it, what did you expect, right? Envy have not dropped the map this entire game, or this entire event, rather. They completely demolished LG yesterday. They have looked, all in all, completely phenomenal, and we're kind of the overdogs heading into this one. But NRG, they had a couple of rounds here or there, especially at the beginning of the map, where they looked a lot more comfortable. But like you said, it was definitely a bit of a one-sided affair.
Right. NRG couldn't really get anything started, especially over towards the attacking side, where they actually did have multiple opportunities to reset the economy of Envy, and even had one in the second half. We saw a reset from Envy, we saw an eco from them, and that was the round that ended up winning them out in terms of the entire game. So, I mean, NRG couldn't get anything started. It's unfortunate. It's not that fun. But going into the next one, going into Haven, where NRG overarchingly has a better record than not only NV, but most of North America, a 72% win rate in the last few months. This team is looking to absolutely explode on their map pick.
And this is where you have to see them step up, because obviously they get eliminated if they end it right here, right now. And they will still get out with that 3rd to 4th seed, so it's a respectable finish, but obviously they're chasing that #1. This is a team of really hard grinders, really. I mean, after their tournament game yesterday, I think I saw some immediately play a little bit more ranked almost as soon as the stream went offline. I'm pretty sure it was the same story for almost everybody else on NRG. They also have their streams that they keep up. I mean, this is a team that's trying really hard to impress, and I think that sort of grinding mentality is what has kind of catapulted them into one of the better teams in North America. So, come out strong here on Haven. This is your map of choice, and you have, for all intents and purposes, been phenomenal on it. So, it's now or never, man. It's now or never.
It really is, and for Haven, at least for Envy, they are no slouch on it either, although they barely play it. Folks, this team of Envy, in terms of that Haven pick, it is so rare to the point that we've only seen them play it 5 times. The other map that has this low of a map count is Icebox with only 2. So Envy, they're mixing up the map pool a little bit. They're still a fine team here on Haven, but looking at the comps, we do have our boys of NRG actually picking up both the Sage and the Breach on this map. It's very much a curveball. We have never seen Sage for this team on this map either. So a Sage galore here, Ito.
Interesting comp, and yeah, they have actually never run this one before, but it's something that we've talked about a little bit earlier, is that, again, it's for seeding, so you still make it to the closed qualifiers. Why not explore new comps? I'm a little bit sad that we're not going to be seeing the Brimstone, because I feel like he's going to be his most enabled on Haven, if anywhere. But, we still have a couple of curveballs being thrown with the Breach in play. So very reminiscent of, I don't know, Europe as well. I know they love their Breach.
Yeah, it's
lots of question marks though.
Yeah, it's very weird to see teams in the last month and a half after the Sage buffs really start to pull out Sage more and more. And it's really North America trying to get used to that idea, because we haven't had any hard puggy events just yet where it's more casual. I think one that Envy played a month ago, they played a little bit more experimental, but with this one, this is a whole other level. Yes, this is VCT, but both teams are already in the closed qualifiers. I see no detriment to either squad really pulling out different comps or different ideas. There's a massive opportunity for both teams to really get some momentum running, though, for the rest of the tournaments. And we're live here with Haven as NRG starts things off a little bit slower. They're on a split, but the boys of Envy have already full rotated over towards A, except for one on B, just looking out for info, and it's working out as Envy, they've gotten full baited.
Oh my lord, what a beautiful bait it is. Camera's taken down, and that is going to begin their movement.
They gotta go though. Look at this fast rotation.
Wait a second. Oh, they're double baiting it here. The spike is actually sitting at the bottom of C still. They have so much map control right now, Gus.
And Ito, the only reason why they're doubling back is because all of that information that the solo player over towards A is getting. Saw him, he heard everyone running away from the heaven area. Heard everyone running away from A main. And not only that, but he's still holding down the line. NRG, however, because of how around the world this round has been, can't exactly trust in terms of all of their players surviving. Still is a 2-on-4, but oh boy, they might as well just have a chance. They just have the positional advantage, but there's one over towards Long. It's Food getting the flank in. Saw him down to low HP. Could be able to get the heal if he had enough time, but it's not going to happen. Envy, they end up winning the round in one of the most confusing ones that we've seen in a while.
It's confusing, but it actually is a little bit closer
There's
than
a
I
method
think the
to the
numbers
chaos.
would have you believe. A method to the chaos. That really, I think, describes this entire game, right?
This entire set, yeah.
Describes Haven, too. You have to respect it, though, because NRG, this is their best map, or second best map, excuse me, statistically in the past couple of months. But you have to respect the anatomy of that round, although they lost the fight to Envy, because I do think it was a little bit closer than the numbers would have you believe. A couple of players on Envy were actually really close to going down there, but at the end, it was Envy with a really strong positioning, keeping Food as not the pincer, but maybe I guess a bit of a lurk situation, a bit of a lurker who really kept things alive and comfortable for Envy.
You have 3 players this round, though, for Envy over towards that A side for an early take, and indeed, they're going to have to capitalize on that take because Crashies and Mame still on the front lines. They take down 2, and oh man, it's just starting to get overwhelming. NRG, they still have their lurker. Daps all the way in Garage, and yeah, nothing for it. Envy, they pick their battle right. They gamble in the right direction, and NRG... still, of course, with a pistol, so they didn't have too much to win off of that one. Envy, they go into their bonus round with NRG really kind of scrambling for any frags in this game.
Reeling a little bit. They haven't nearly gotten to any of the ultimates that they want to have in play soon as well. So it's a very scary first round for NRG. They will be obviously bringing in the rifles. They have Vandals almost all the way across the board with the exception of Som. And on to Envy, it's one Vandal, which is kind of the exception to the rule because they're still kind of treating this one as a bonus, like you said. Many Spectres in play. What I'm expecting we see here out of Envy is not that teleport play up top. I actually do like this, though. Wow, NRG are just immediately pushing in. This is such a disrespect of space, and I feel like this is going to be perfect for Envy, but it doesn't seem to be working out.
I said this yesterday, NRG, they love their W key. They make their way beaming onto that C site. No issues. Again, like I said before, those HyperX keycap replacements, they have to come in so clutch every week for these guys because NRG, they love to run. They love to boot their way on. The pace is high, the momentum is good, and the confidence is still there for the boys of NRG as they clean up this round easy peasy.
It was a bonus, but I think that was probably one of Envy's best situations in theory, was kind of running into the gauntlet. Not quite a crossfire that Envy had in play, but definitely it's something that completely caught Envy off guard. Now, mind you, Envy decided to start out on defense as well. I think that is a little bit interesting because you often hear casters talk about how, maybe it's a little bit more favorable for the attacker side simply because of the fact that there are 3 sites to play at. But Envy, despite them having to kind of spread their defense thin, they are consistently mixing things up just in the early days. And, well, maybe it's only working to certain effects. Mame immediately pops the knives here, looks to take a couple of more fights. NRG pressing W even more.
Now this is big! There you go!
Okay.
1 right click, 2 kills! Why not, Mame? He's still going through, trying to find another one, but EU single-handedly bringing this back to a 2v2 again. Hey, you can't really explain anything that happens in these rounds. You just gotta sit back and watch. Envy now, they have at least control of sight. With NRG, they're not really willing. Oh no, they had control, but even then, NRG, they don't exactly want to plan. I was about to say, is NRG still planning a rotation? But no, indeed not. The spike finally goes down, and Infinite takes back Food, and with the revive, Infinite snags up Zeus. So again, just going back, I thought that NRG, they were more trying to settle onto the site, more trying to get maybe a pick towards that back line, see how Envy would react. They didn't see anything, and they had the right setup. They actually put a wall towards the back of site, which we didn't end up seeing, but with the spike going down right behind it, it's super safe over towards the back C spawn entrance, and really, for the rest of the round, it ended up going as mechanically as you could think, because the wall not only covered up the spike, but it covered up the revive. It was well thought out and well planned out by NRG, as now Envy, they're the ones down to the eco, and NRG, they could end up just going once again for another one of those whole W rounds, which indeed Solemn is going for, but one right click from Mame takes him down. The crossfire works. Oh, and God, how did this happen? There is no shot that NRG should have been taken down to 2 players there, but the pistols, the power of them, it's too strong.
It's too strong in the early round, but these pistols really struggle when it comes to about this point on. You see that NRG are having second thoughts about even committing towards C. They're going to slow the clock down. They still have so much time to work with. They can wait out some of their cooldowns, get another dark cover if they really wanted to, and obviously get that heal in play. You know, just make sure that you have all the tools that you possibly can to actually re-exec towards C. And this leaves Envy thinking. You see how they're also having a couple of question marks over their head on, hey, are they actually going to be late rotating A? I mean, Christ, they could be moving through their spawn right now. It's a big question for Envy, and since they have these pistols, this is the worst possible place for a couple of pistol players to be, because where pistols really shine is when they have a set game plan. And now, Envy, unfortunately, they gambled out of red. This stack is all black. NRG, they get the spike down in one of the best positions. There's that wall. More innovative walls as they bring out the Sage for the first time. Seems to be a very good look for them. I'm
not exactly a betting man, but I would like to say that NRG have some high chances going into this one. You mentioned yesterday hedge funds and all that, but well, it looks like the Wall Street bet didn't work out in their favor. NRG, yes, with the rifles, they end up surviving and they end up winning out, but we keep talking about the economy, and let's talk about the damage of it. NRG, they have to reinvest a whole lot of cash. Daps is going to survive with 7.5k in the bank. Really, NRG, they're going to be able to buy pretty comfortably for really the next 2 rounds, including this one. But Envy now, with the economic damage, and now with a little bit more momentum, if they win this one out, it puts them clearly on a path to victory.
I think this would be a great time for them to switch up the pace as well and give a bit more love towards Garage, because it has been something I think NRG have been neglecting. Sure, they have the lead to show for it, so what do I know? It kind of seems that they share my sentiment, though. This is a burst up towards C. Not too uncommon to see as well. Relatively easy to set up, but the execution might come in the form of Mame and his op. He's forced to concede this space. As the push begins, I'm getting a bit of deja vu, because this is exactly what Mame has done in the past. A quick shot, smokes himself off, and dashes out to safety with 17 HP to show for it.
Okay, FNS. Still gonna break down the wall, so if anything, Envy is still very much with at least eyes over towards the C side, waiting to see what the next move for NRG would be. But even with the plant not even going down, they're still in their post-plant positions. But oh my Mame! That was beamed through the smoke! Caboose now spots Daps as he makes his way through. Now EU in a 1v3. Still gonna have to take down Caboose to really get things started. But wow, you gotta be kidding me. Mame, although he doesn't even have a line of sight, he's still able to get these insane kills. And I said it yesterday, no matter what situation this Envy team is in, it always seems like they have a chance.
Talk about a bounce back, because yeah, you had to believe in them a little bit, because it is Envy that we're talking about here, one of the big juggernauts of North America. But considering how that one started, even on the retake, it was so brilliantly patient by NRG. And I think in particular how they completely played FNS like a fiddle. That was smart. They knew that he was going to try to go for some of this late round crazy flank action. And they completely ground him out. But Envy just hit a couple of gorgeous shots, get things back into their favor, and look at what they have earned because of it. 3-3, Envy Maybe not a dominating lead, but they definitely put themselves in a good position.
Oh no!
NRG now need to once again quicken up the pace. Caboose is sitting backside. He hasn't been spotted, so he'll get 2 kills, 2 massive ones at that. Envy, they still keep the dreams alive, and the numbers stay even.
And they had the idea. NRG, they wanted Shanks to be on the front lines to clear out the back left, but even then, the paranoia came at a perfect time.
Start.
So if anything now, Crashies, huge shock dart, gonna be able to clear out a little bit of sight. Now it's a 1v2 going in for Som, and Crashies now invades in right when NRG still had a chance to win out the round. I mean, again, gotta give it up to Caboose at the very beginning of the round. We didn't really talk about ultis all too much. We should have anticipated that Rolling Thunder coming in purely because NRG, they needed some sort of opening back, but they get nothing for their troubles here, Itzo. Instead now, NRG, they stick around on this site maybe for a little bit too long. Envy, they've been showing thus far in this half that they have the fast rotations, that they have full coverage of garage. NRG, they haven't even tried to take split garage control yet. It's just been one lane, one side of control, and it's just simply not working out for them. Instead now, Envy, they stick up to their guns, and really, they have the advantage once again. But Som with a Guardian. Wait a minute.
They get the resurrection off for free. That's another point added to the ultimate. He's still a long way away from another Rolling Thunder, but this is the start that NRG need. Once again, the deal gets evened up, but Crashies is forced to use his Hunter's Fury to try to get this back into his team's favor. Som again with the Guardian. Like you just said, he shuts me up, and everybody has been shut from NRG. A burst of color in the kill feed is a beautiful look for Envy. They get this down into a 2v1 despite Som trying to pull off some magical antics with the Guardian. Ooh. It doesn't look possible, it doesn't look palatable, and the impossible will not become possible. Envy, they barely slink away with that round. I don't even know, man. The verbiage is out of control here.
The verbiage, the vocabulary, I mean, English isn't even my first language, and well, I see where you're spitting. If anything, you're spitting straight facts right now because, well, the boys from NRG, whenever they actually see themselves in at least in an opening, because Envy over towards that B site, it's been a little bit more loose. NRG, they haven't focused up on that site really at all. They still had 2 players looking on that area. FNS, he played perfect pivot, and now at this point, NRG, they refocus back over towards the A site, and look how many players are already here. 3 players are now invading. EU up in heaven, he immediately gets shut down. How is that even possible? Envy, it's like they have the perfect reads, and no chance at all. They just try to hold W onto sites, and Crashies is there with the 2 frags back. Envy 6-3. NRG, again, they're going to be struggling with a buy, and I'm scratching my head at this point, really wondering what's going on in these rounds. Imagine how NRG is feeling. They're throwing everything at Envy, and nothing's working.
They can have fun with it, but Envy just have a really lovely read on this situation. I think it's maybe a bit too telegraphed. I don't know. It's so easy to say things from the big chair, but I think NRG, what we saw in their Icebox play, you know, I really like how they do these slow bursts. They try to cut noise as long as possible, and then they actually come to play. And speaking of coming to play, it's got to be Caboose who cuts noise entirely and silences 2 players. Things are relatively muted once more as Envy. They take a dominating lead in this round as well. Only 1 player to the good, but they have more and more tools as time goes by. Interesting situation we find ourselves in once more at Mind.
Real interesting. Hello, Daps. Trying to at least throw this round off completely, but no way. No way!
Excuse
what
me?
on earth is going on? Food actually catches Daps off the flank, but Infinite beams through the wall, takes down his opponent, but Food has the angle. Envy.
Off angle, man.
An off angle of all things, but even then, it's going to be Envy with yet another round. Caboose, he even switches up his approach because usually he has been playing back C sites, either that or still trying to support C rotation. And this time he's in just prime estate once again because, again, NRG, they're still holding W. They're not really clearing their angles all too much purely because they just want to make their way on site. They just want to take full control early on. But this C site has been so dangerous, and for some reason, NRG, they keep targeting it, thinking that they have a chance.
I mean, again, now's the time to play around, see how nice your executes, your full-on rushes are. But if we're talking about maybe best chances, I still think cutting noise would be good for them, but a Rolling Thunder does the trick as well. There's their engine to push, but they have once again been cut down.
Ooh.
One kill, two
Crashies.
kills for Crashies. He's denied the plant as well with that shock dart, has a recon drone. Just go ahead and scope out the situation in 4K. And thing is, Envy, no matter what, they just keep being cut down.
Wait a minute. Daps now,
second.
oh
No
my,
way.
this is a 1v4, almost pulls it off. Crashies down to 50 HP, but Crashies again, he was just in heaven the entire time. I mean, it's such a rarity to see someone in that heaven position being able to get so many free frags, but that's essentially what Crashies was doing. He was making space for himself. He got all of that information, had the shock darts, shut down the spike early on, still had the owl drone to still scope out more players. He wanted to keep fighting, and Crashies in such an unorthodox position for someone to be really holding down that A site with full comfortability. He still ends up getting himself a 4K, but somehow Daps was able to make it possible. And going into this last round of the half, we have NRG back in shambles as they focus up over towards mid with only one back in A main, and that person in A main, he gets exposed.
I think Envy are just...
Jeez.
I mean, they just can take fights. They can afford it at this point. We're made to the close qualies, try to finish things up in style. Both teams have this same sort of mindset. It just seems overwhelmingly beautiful for Envy. I almost wanted to see the TK Hunter's Fury there, I'm not going to lie, but dude, there's barely any time that passes in these rounds and we find ourselves in 1-on-X's.
They're still fighting this.
Of course they're going to still fight it, man. Everyone wants a bit of a highlight play here or there. Can you deny them that, man? Come on, zoom out for a second. They've already made their way here. Have fun with it. I'd love to see it.
Okay, look, we are heading into the second half, folks, and again, I have to be completely honest, I have zero clue what Envy is doing anymore. Envy, even in the rounds where it just seems like they're holding down to sight super easily, you have players like Mame still just trying to get his own highlight play, and indeed he did. And, well, Sam, he had full control of Spike. He would have actually been able to pick it up, but... This is more and more looking like the 10-mans that these guys have just been trying to play out as much as they can just to get their characters at least up to par, especially with the off character picks that we're seeing once again from NRG. Because again, with the Sage, things change a whole lot more. Daps is trying to get certainly used to that entire dynamic, and in this round, he actually wants to utilize the slow orb over towards snipers, but he gets exposed early for it. It's a prime example of it, but oh my. Envy, they cleanly take the B site, but NRG off the rotation back and off of the lurker. Well, this one just starts to get a little bit muddy. It's a 2v3 now, with all two in the back of sight, still waiting out for players to peek. Mame with a good angle, but Shanks with a stellar kill, actually. Food now 1v2. Has to spot out a couple of people. Crossing! And Shanks has to get it in the end. Oh. NRG won a round.
Gotta let it stew for a second. You can tell Shanks, he's just really making sure.
Shanks.
Yep,
Shanks.
they're dead. I'm pretty sure Shanks.
Oh. No, don't do it again.
No. He's just really making sure, man. I mean...
Well, he's got to make sure they're dead.
He's thorough. You have to respect it. Look at that. That's a nice pair. I'd use that spray for myself. He's just a little bit angry. He's only at 3 kills, man. Just let him have it.
Yeah, right.
It's been a bit of a one-sided affair, so I'm... You know, you can be a bit happy that NRG picked up another round. That's a celebratory dance, if you would. The capital D : popped out here, I'm sure. But Envy have been... They've just been in control. They're going to force this up. I have absolutely zero questions or doubts that they're going to just immediately run it towards A. NRG have to respect the space, and with the Phantoms in hand, you're going to hope to see maybe a highlight play or two. There it is, Shanks! Doubling your kills in one round. And you hate to see it if you're an Envy fan, but you also have to love it if you're a big NRG stan too. Wow. Okay. Was that round like 20 seconds, maybe?
Yeah, something about that. Around the sort. So again, super quick, super easy. It was again NRG holding short really closely. All of the players from Envy making their way down. But now we can actually talk about what would be a return to form, I guess, for Envy, because you do have the rifles back coming in for Envy. Still, NRG has a couple here and there. It is more or less their bonus, but actually, Ito, they're going to go completely against that. They're still going to stick up to the pistols once again. They're trying to stay as economically sound as possible. And look, oh my, rush mid from Shanks. What on earth? He was the one that gets the 3 kills. You talk about a 20-second ending. You talk about a 5-second, really just a stop flash for a second there, just like a 5-second pose. Oh,
hey, I thought Awesome Games Done Quick ended already. What in the world is this?
Dude, that was an any % run and they nailed it.
Trying to go for the world record at the moment, man.
I couldn't replicate that if I tried, but folks, now I was hyping up the last round to be
the rifles.
Certainly didn't happen, but now with NRG winning out 3 rounds in a row, they certainly see a lot of advantage in actually buying out the rifles. They have more than enough money to actually do so. And a couple of players over towards long for Envy as they try to make their way through, but NRG, they still have control of Cubby once again, and it doesn't look like Envy are going to be able to make their way over towards C. They're trying to rotate.
That was such good pressure, though, because as soon as he was tagged out by the drone, what? FNS has the gall to peek that. Unreal. And they're going for it again. Some don't do that. That is so BM. Oh, that's such a... Okay, well, we found our sweet play, everybody.
Something of the sort. Sam just keeps speaking out again and again.
What can he say?
Yeah, no, my brain hurts here. But even though, folks, gotta focus up because now Envy, now in a 2-on-4. The post plans are relatively formal, but still with a flash out. Crashy's just holding down to sight. Same thing with food, but they get traded out.
Man.
Oh, all right. NRG, they end up winning out the rifle round. Envy's economy that they were building up really for the last 2 rounds is going to get shut down. And NRG, again, this team I didn't expect to really pull out too many fireworks this early on, especially on the defensive side. Let me say that again, especially on the defensive side. NRG is still maintaining that same pace that they had on the attacking side here on Haven, and they've transferred that pace, that tempo, really the confidence on the defensive side. And what is NRG doing? Ladies and gentlemen, they are on a buy round, and they have 4 players trying to rush up C-Long. What is happening?
It's a gamble, man. Well, not a good gamble, but it definitely was a gamble. This isn't unexpected. I mean, you'd see these the sort of 3-man stacks down long happen occasionally. It's usually more common when there's an operator in play, but again, variety is a spice of life, and it's time to be a little bit more spicy. Maybe not like that, though. Envy are looking primed to take double digits here, but it's just a unique take on what we see sometimes with a gamble towards C-Long to try to take control of the orb, if nothing else. So you have to give a little bit of praise to NRG for trying it out, I suppose.
Surely.
And one thing I want to touch on while we have a bit of this mid-round lull is I think it was some incredible coverage by NRG in that last round, because when it was their Omen spotted out in Cubby, they completely covered him by just tossing out so much util to deny that C-Long control, like you mentioned. So even if these rounds are a little bit memey, there is some good stuff that you can learn from on how to cover your teammates and how to keep the dream alive. So, I mean, hey, you have to respect it again. NRG, they're trying new things out.
Like you said, this figure still, at least for the boys of NRG, still maintaining things with a little bit more variety. Caboose, he ends up getting 3 kills at the very beginning of things with really the same, literally in the same angle, so not too much variety. But no, NRG, they keep switching things up on Envy, and although we most likely won't see this in a closed qualifier game or a game that really does mean a lot for the future of the team, like an elimination match or something of the sorts, certainly we're not going to see this type of aggression. So I mean, surely NRG, with the amount of curveball that they're throwing at the face of Envy, you're still going to see Envy just trying to maintain their own pace. They want to keep playing at what would be their more, I guess you could say, methodical type of play style, as they have been doing for the past couple of days. But even then, with NRG just invading these back choke points, they are never safe. NV tries to fight long, there's a player watching over. They try to fight short, well, they end up getting picked down. So NV now at this point, down already to just 4 men. Not only that, but the B side is going to be completely open. This Jordan is not going to be able to catch anything. But double garage for NRG2. Right, NV, they might be running out of options, but they at least need to make a move.
Oh no, Niyu's pushing out already. He's going on an adventure. He doesn't find any buried treasures. No way. It's gonna get punished though. They TP'd into heaven because they got a little bit of space for free. This might be a spike plant, but I don't think it goes any further. And
no, absolutely not.
Niyu's already behind. There's that adventure. He finally found the X that marks the spot, and he dug it up, and he found another round.
Oh man, all of these troubles, right? At least they say so pressure makes diamonds, and they say pressure makes diamonds. And Envy, that's the whole point of it, right? Because
diamond hands,
folks. Still Envy early on. They do. I'm seeing a little bit of a change in a sense. They're actually waiting or anticipating more of that NRG pressure, just trying to win out the entry duels, because that's really something that NRG has been more known for, is for winning out the entry duels. But right. Yeah, with the wall not exactly succeeding over towards long, they're not exactly going to have to worry about it. But that's the ultimate back for the breach. We have a Rolling Thunder and a teleport back for the boys of NRG. With a Hunter's Fury for Envy, however, they could make some really good space over in mid, but that gets shut down immediately. Psalm through the smoke, takes down Crashies. Infinite is just on the front line, just trying to fight this back, but Mame with a great position. Still now a 3-on-4. Mame, Mummy just gets destroyed through the wall by Daps. 2v4. Caboose in a beautiful off-angle position. He only has 17 HP to work with. And Caboose, one click. He just holds it on down. And this man is an absolute legend. Like I said, only 17 HP and he has to do it again. No way, he does it again. Unreal. Caboose with the clutch. A 4K to close things off for Envy, and we were talking about NRG. They're the spotlight. They're the guys that love to pull the highlight plays. But Caboose, the man who closed it off yesterday, certainly is closing this book on the chapter against NRG with such a beautiful play.
Oh, I did not believe in him dropping through as well. I thought, oh God, for sure he's dead right here as soon as he double swings, but no, Caboose. Such a flashy player. Some people say he has some of the best highlights in Valorant for a reason. You know, he was notorious for that 4K or 3K that got previously holding down C. It's another 4K for him, but it's an entirely new setting. But it's a completely new look for him still. Envy. As they go up to 11 here by a flashy play, they want to close this one out soon. NRG, I mean, they have been kind of closing this gap more and more. Envy are still knocking on the door of victory. This is so close to being a 2-0 win. And NRG, well, I think they're going to be in for one more nasty surprise. They are just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. NRG maybe getting a bit too scary there. Unfortunately, get jump scared.
There's a neural theft. Does get a whole lot of info, but watch out for the Hunter's Fury. Crashies pulling it out early. Again, just a false sense of an 8-take in a sense, as one is actually just rushing up short, but there you go. Envy, they had already been full rotating in a sense for a while in NRG. Well, anticipating the 8-take, the neural theft gave them all the information that they wanted to really double back to C. So there's no issues now, folks, for the boys of Envy, at least in terms of site control, but now NRG. They're going to regroup things back to a 3-on-3 off of the revive.
Oh, they're making
More importantly, watch out for FNS. FNS is going to stay on the front lines over towards Garage. Has to hold it down. There's nobody here to really help him. Has to get the kill onto Psalm, but instead now NV down to a one-man disadvantage. Crashies on the front lines. He's going to get discombobulated by the Rolling Thunder. Still one in the back lines. Caboose has to go for it, but Daps with a pre-fire. I mean, that's just wonderful. NRG, really just a switch up, right? Because we're used to seeing Psalm, Shanks really on the front lines of all of these interactions, trying to force things out. But NRG thinking tactically, thinking methodically, they take their time, and using the ultis and a little bit of luck from the NV positions, they end up getting back around, preventing at least a 12th.
for now, they've staved off not the inevitable, but seemed inevitable after that 9-3 half that was posted by Envy, where they were rolling everywhere they wanted to. NRG, they have dictated, taken this pace, and kind of crafted this game into their own. Envy having a lot of trouble here on the attacking side. Maybe not winning their fights in the same way that they used to. There's still time for things to change. NRG, once again, they already have players situated in A main. I don't think they're going to be shut down in the same fashion that they were last round, but that only makes things a bit more scary for Envy because they still didn't piece that round together. And NRG, in fact, have 3 players left alive. Be a quick B execute here, so Envy just immediately want to play post plan. So still, it's a quicker pace change. This time it seems a bit more favorable for them.
Again, certainly taking their time, but you still have at least the rest of Envy just grouping up over towards mid. And again, good molly, but it's up to half. Like you mentioned, Shank's in a great position. Still going to be Som forcing out the situation, but Crashies with a double shot turn again. Oh, yes, Mummy! There you go, off the flank. Going to be able to take that one. Still have to take down the last 2. Takes down EU, and there's just enough time. Oh, NRG dodging a massive bullet. Again, and that's the weird thing to me, because most of the B takes that we've seen from Envy, I think we've seen 2 thus far, they wanted full site control. They still wanted at least 1 or 2 players toward that back line, but that was just a classic B post plan where everyone just groups out over towards mid. It's almost an air of mystery for the opponents to where they might be going. But for NRG, they always had eyes on site. They always had some piece of information that Envy would still be around. And really, by the time that they could commit to the spike, we were only about maybe 5 seconds into the spike being planted. Envy, they didn't really make too much time for themselves, and NRG had more than enough util for the post plant. So if anything, they get shambled. And now NRG on the front lines, they need to hold back Envy as they're now on pistols. And okay, there you go. Dap's still over towards Garage, gonna be looking for a second good jump down. Envy now down to 2. Okay, Mame. Everyone in Envy wants to be a hero.
No, Crashies.
Oh, Crashies! No! Crashies, no! Still needs 1 more! Infinite around the corner, needs to take him down! Oh, I feel like that was either a caster's curse or a caster's blessing. Everyone wants to be the hero, but Crashies with 24 kills for him already. What an insane 3K. We need to run that back. Well, gets the first. That one's easy enough, right? I can't believe it. I can't.
This game.
I can't.
It's giving me anxiety.
It's giving us false anxiety because the boys of Envy, they've had so many opportunities to win these rounds, right? And it's almost in those optimal spots where they're expected to win almost every single time. NRG, they still have that power. They still have that individual fragging prowess that they keep pulling out round after round now. And now this is what you like to see from the boys. NRG, Haven is one of their best maps, and they weren't exactly showing it early on. But now this is their opportunity. They get to shut it down. They get to get the momentum running. And Envy, they're still on the back lines. They're going to have to face on a full retake of the C site. Look at that rotation from NRG.
Oh,
what
Lord.
info do they have? What info does NRG actually have to make this rotation? This is massive, and this is about to be an absolute war on site. Out goes Infinite. They're running back around the corner. Going to be able to take that one. Still the spray down. Still with a second. Shanks dashing in with the knives. Still able to take down another one. Still the interactions have to come down along, and Mame has no chance. NRG, he full rotated over towards the C sites, and Envy totally caught off. Ito, what a round, what a sequence. And like I mentioned before, Envy, they've had their chances, but now NRG, they're the ones with the map point.
This has been one of the most interesting games I think I have ever seen. From a 9-3 half, Envy have been on a drought. They've gotten a couple here or there, but they have just not been able to, 1, pick up match point, but 2, just not meet the pace of NRG, which is seemingly so random. And considering, like you mentioned before, they're on defense, it's so weird to me. I mean, again, this is such a puggy game, if you want to use that phrase. I'm not a big fan of it just because I feel like you can put that label on anything, but it really is. This is something reminiscent of 10-Man's. Ranked feels like I'm watching a stream from multiple different POVs. It's a joy to watch, but at the same time, I have so many questions for what Envy's big plans are. Are they looking to innovate still? Are NRG seriously going to snatch this one away, or are Envy going to try to bring it to OT? Because they've kept this forward before, mind.
Shanks somehow still alive. He delays so much time for Caboose. Caboose had full idea that he was there, but now NRG, they get picked apart. As again, they make a little bit of a more scattered rotation, but Envy having full control of at least that backdrop. I mean, that's just NRG doing their thing, right? Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time here on the mainstream this entire weekend, we have overtime between Envy and NRG here on Haven. It's well earned by both teams. NRG, they had to fight tooth and nail from a 9-3 scoreline at the half to really make this possible. But now Envy, they returned to form a little bit. It was a little bit of an anticlimactic round, but now they have to prove themselves. They want to shut it down 2-0.
Prime position to do it. They're on the defense where they posted this 9-3 in the first place. Against full guns, Envy, they even bring out the operator. Popping the biggest bottles right now just to make sure they can be in a comfortable place heading into potentially the last round. Mame hairs off of being able to secure that frag. You're probably going to see that same position of what he's done before. If he even needs to step up, what has gone wrong? Envy, the crossfires are so overwhelming. 4 kills, 5 kills in just a couple of seconds. It's par for the course of what we've seen all game long, mind. But to see it in overtime, it has to hurt if you're an NRG fan.
NRG got too confident. They try to hold W on site again. They barely clear out the angle that FNS had full control over. And again, Mame had at least full eyes over towards Long. They knew that there were multiple players over towards Long. So if anything, the fast rotation comes in super quick coming in from B. That's going to be 2 players over towards the garage area watching the cross. And then eventually, Envy, they still have the nail in the coffin, which is essentially NRG just holding W on. That entire situation just benefited this team. But now, this C set is a little bit more loose. And Envy, they're still banging it out. EU has to run away, but this side is theirs. Envy with a man disadvantage is going to be able to get the plant down, but this one could start to get a little bit scrappy with a couple of players scattered.
Well, they know that Crashies is still sitting over towards A. NRG, they definitely want to move this one up, go as quickly as possible, because they know that Crashies is AWOL. Finally, he'll arrive over towards Long, but look at the pressure on the spike right now. Oh, it doesn't get halfway, though. That means there's still a chance here up mine. Great shot from Mame. Smoke on the spike as well, but there's nobody touching it. Daps. Now he has to go ahead and stick the spike, get it to about halfway. Not even going to be able to get this res off. Is double OT going to happen? It isn't. Crashies will finish things off for Envy. It's a 2-0 finish, and Envy, despite a little bit of a choke in that second half, will close things out cleanly. Up mind. That was one of the most interesting games that I think I have ever seen.
Between 2 tier 1 teams, that is, because these two teams, they've had so much going for them in terms of tactical prowess. Especially yesterday, we really saw a showcase from NRG, really with most of their players on their A game in terms of fragging. But then you come into today, NRG still has that confidence in a sense, but they go onto a map like Split, where they haven't played at all in this tournament. At all. So still a lot of experimentation coming out from the boys of NRG. It didn't exactly work out in their favor over on Split, but what a return to form they had in a second half, because Envy, they took the first half 9-3 and they looked like this game was over.
Then out of nowhere, I mean, NRG, life in them yet, pulled it off, brought it to OT, and yes, you can fight and say all you want, it was scrappy, and yes, indeed it was, but it was still well-deserved at the end of the day for NRG. But they fall on OT, and that is where the series will end. Obviously not the end of the action, but we'll talk about that next series a little bit later. I mean, if you could, would you choose one standout player here? Because
No.
It was a bit of a unique situation we were in, but man, just so many flashy plays. It's hard to choose just one.
If I really had to choose just one, I don't know about that. Again, this game is so confusing in a sense. Statistically,
what you're saying? Saw him going like this?
What, saw him still spinning around? Pew, all that. I mean, okay, that was yesterday, right? But
no, that was today.
Okay, look. I don't know.
He did on top of the ice
I don't
wall?
know. If anything, I'll say Caboose. This guy was an absolute legend in terms of total control of the map. When you went over towards Split, still his smokes were very much oppressive in a sense, a little bit deeper than you would actually expect. But really, the person that really came alive throughout this entire set, really in a util base, actually had to be Food. Food still had what would be a little bit more intuitive wall usage, especially when we saw 2 counter boosts back on Split. And even then, in this map, still ended up totally contributing to the team in terms of what would be total swing rounds. But again, I gotta give it to Caboose, but one of the best plays of the day, certainly getting pulled out by Crashies, who also had his best day thus far of this tournament in terms of fragging. He had over 40 frags thus far. And again, guys, just a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not too much to talk about. You guys saw the action. It was really just a showcase between these two teams to see what they were all about. But NV, they move on to the grand finals, and we still have another game coming up. But before we go, we do have a little bit of a shout out to our sponsor of the challengers. It's our boys over at HyperX. They have been supporting us really for a while now over at Nerd Street Gamers. And of course, for those at home, every day, billions of people wake up, eat, and fire up a game as part of their daily routine. Console or PC, casual or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers. And HyperX is always ready to game. Thank you to HyperX for sponsoring this season of VALORANT Challengers. And at this point, I'm gonna enjoy myself a couple of tunes, and we'll be right back with Immortals facing off against Sentinels for our second semifinals of the night.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice. And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless? On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.